Welcome to the May 14th, 2026 meeting of the Town of Concord Historical Commission. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. So quick roll call. Myself present, Doug Ellis, Nancy Frisella Lee,
Here, present.
Lauren Meyer,
Here.
Melissa Saulfield, not.
She's working.
Mary Beth Kelly, not. Rob Monroe,
Here.
Nancy Nelson,
Nancy Nelson, here.
Carol Aronson, no. Sarah Cusin,
Here.
and Callie Naris.
Here.
Okay. Very good. First on our agenda, we've got demolition review for application by Keith Moritz. Floor is yours. Do you have anything you would like to present?
Okay, thank you. Yes, I do. Hello. I have to admit, so actually sharing is not turned on, so I'm going to send a request to be able to share.
Yeah, Ann can turn that on for you.
Okay, I'll share this, and hopefully if I go into present mode, nice.
Well,
Can-
that's nice.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'll admit I took one out of the book from the Hills Brothers last meeting. It was April 9th, I believe it was.
Yeah.
They had a similar demolition review for a home built by the same home builder who built this home that we're reviewing. So I did attend that to look and just sort of see where things were aligned. So this is a presentation of the slight history, common history, history of where we are, current state of the home, and then my proposed plan future, which will be a ZBA discussion. But at least this gets us through the initial part, because I know part of the request from last time was to document the history. So that's what this is.
Right.
My name is Keith Moritz. I live at 78 Southfield Road. I've been in town since 2007. This 448 Sudbury Road is a home I've recently purchased from some friends of mine with the intent of and so by rehabbing it really requires a demo followed by a new build, but we'll get into that in the details here. So we requested a demolition review. A lawyer did on my behalf back on 20th March. We received the letter from the Historical Commission on the 7th stating, that to attend tonight's meeting for assistance in determining whether it be preferably preserved or not preferably preserved. As I stated earlier, I attended the meeting on 9th of April to review 13 Chestnut Street, which happened to be built by Air Conditioned Homes Inc., which is the same company who built this home at 448 Sudbury Road. And they're both of similar state, although in varying ways, but a similar state of disrepair. And so this is the details of 448. So 448 is the home you're looking at there. Thank you, Google. But that land was surveyed and deeded to Air Conditioned Homes Inc. in 1945. They deeded James Myatt the property in 1948, and it was interesting because it was essentially under a condition that he would build a home with them for at least a price tag of $5,000. And I think that's how they did. So it's like there's kind of the stipulation that as long as you build a home for $5,000, the land's yours, and then you'll build it when you build it. And so then in 1950, he actually got a mortgage, which the home I think cost exactly $5,000, and they built it in 1950. But then in 1962, I'm not sure what happened to him in the interim, but it appears he did get married to Clara B. Myatt in 1962, and then he deeded the home to them as a married couple. And then so he had passed at some point, and then Clara deeded the home to James C. and Robin J. Sage Conti in 2009. And then I purchased it from them in April of this year. So really, I am the third owner of the property, but which in 76 years, which is actually just like my house here at 78 Southfield Road. However, this home was cared for by people who cared about the home, and we have maintained it at 78 Southfield Road. I cannot say the same for 448 Sudbury. Over that 76-year period, it was fairly well neglected. So that's what we'll get into here. So it was built in 1950. It's built on a 9-inch thick concrete slab. So I have some details of that in a little bit, but around the perimeter, there are no footings. So I actually dug down and looked. There are no footings. The slab, so over this 76-year period, it's been, frosting, heaving for just based on there's a limited frost protection of about 2 to 5 inches around the entire perimeter of the home. And in addition to that, the slab is lower. The top of the slab is lower by about 10 inches on average than the road. And the whole property sort of goes in, and there's no separation from the home to the ground. And so as a result, the concrete has been eroding over time, both the frost, every year moving because it doesn't have any footings, but in addition to the fact that there's not really much clearance between the ground and the top of that slab. It has a finished floor, as you see, the finished floor height, finished floor area, enclosed porch, attached garage, and an unfinished attic. So it still is maintained as an unfinished attic to this day. So the living space is truly the finished floor, and the enclosed porch of 100 square feet. It has not undergone any significant improvements or alterations, and has been neglected. There are no signs. I state this just looking through, we all live in Concord, or we live in Concord. You kind of get a sense for what's historical in nature. I don't see any historical value or features with this home, nor does my architect, Elise Stone, who is architecting the proposed planned new home. So these are actually already on with the building department. So I requested a scanned copy of them. These were the original drawings from Myatt, from Air Conditioned Homes for the Myatt job, as it says, in February 1950. The elevations on the left and the first floor plan on the right, noting that the second floor is fully unfinished, so there are no plans for that. But this is kind of a cool, it was actually kind of having a cool little artifact of the actual hand-drawn plans from back in 1950.
Yeah.
Great.
So here's the different faces of the house. So next slide is, so looking at the house on the left from Sudbury Road, looking at the house on the left is 458 Sudbury Road. It's a red house. I presume I think I've already looked at that, but I presume it was also built by the same builder. It has, though, been added to, extended over many years. I didn't know the people who live there have also lived there for quite some time, since 1960s. And then looking out across the street, there's 441 Sudbury Road and 448 Sudbury Road. And then across on the one side in the backyard, it actually borders property with 15 Whittemore. 15 Whittemore is the corner lot of Whittemore and Sudbury, and then this borders that. And then the last one is 458 Sudbury, just looking, towards the other backyard. So you can kind of see, you get a sense for the surroundings. So cosmetic, this is a high level summary, and then I'll get into some details with pictures just to show you. So cosmetic interior of the home is largely deteriorated with time. I didn't take pictures of every single instance, but you'll get the sense. Both front and rear walls of the home are clearly slanting, collapsing inwards. The first thing I noticed when I walked into the home was, wow, those cabinets are leaning at me. You'll see an example of that. And then cracked buckling concrete slab in multiple spots under the kitchen floor. You'll see an example of that. There are more examples that I didn't uncover, but I did uncover the most severe one. Stripping and flaking paint, cracked ceilings, as well as significant wall and tile damage around the only bathroom and bathtub in the home. And then there's just general signs of water damage throughout the home. So walking through each of those scenarios, So just in general, cosmetic updates. So not all of the windows, but some of them have been replaced by a Harvey vinyl product. Again, not getting, no historical significance of replacing whatever was there with a Harvey vinyl product. On the exterior, the exterior siding has been replaced with vinyl. Um, the trim work, there's nothing significant. It's a modest, colonial trim, nothing unique about it. And then one of the newer things in the home is the boiler from 1998.
Yay.
It's a workhorse. It's great,
Yeah.
but it's not efficient. So I love them, but
Not historic, that one.
A lot of them are old pool heaters.
Yeah, that's right. So me being an engineer, I walked when I walked into the home, I saw, oh, those cabinets were slanting at me, so I had to go grab a level and just check and just make sure that my eyes weren't deceiving me. So I did, and so the cabinets, and I was like, the whole wall is slanted. So this is the rear wall of the home. So as you walk in, it's the back wall, which happens to be the cabinet wall of the kitchen. The first, handful of pictures on the left are that. One of the video, I actually have a video in here, but before I get to that, on the right-hand side, after I started, just walking in the home more, I looked, oh, well, that wall is also slanted considerably. It's the front wall of the home. And that, I just measured is less, it's not 2 inches over 3 feet, it's 1 inch over 5 feet. But either way, it's noticeably slanting inward. And so this little video was me just, oh, here's an interesting way to prove to everybody that I'm not making it up, that the cabinets all by themselves, they all just open because that's the way the house is leaning. So, so this is then me diving in a little bit further to say, okay, what is actually happening under the home? Why is it slanting? Why is this possible? So I dug 2 holes, one near those cabinets on the left-hand side, and then that other blue kind of square is the back right corner of the home. And what I noticed, or what I discovered, is that there is absolutely no footings of any kind. It is truly just a 9-inch slab poured onto the dirt and covered by some variation of 2 to 5 inches of dirt. And so logically, that would suggest that over time, over that 76-year period, that is going to create some flexure of the concrete floor. And so if you look at the next slide, this is one area of the kitchen floor. It's only a 2 by 3 area. There are other areas of the kitchen floor and other floors that also suggest that it looks something like this underneath. But this is obviously a significant concrete buckling, and so partially caused by the inflection of the concrete, of the frost heaves. But in addition to that, just there is very little separation from top of concrete to top of dirt all the way around. And so there's just lots of moisture in that foundation or in that concrete over time, and that has caused this. So this is where the kitchen table would be. Okay, so this is, and I opted not to take a ton of pictures, just some to get a decent sense. So I'll go on the right hand side. There's 2 pictures of the slanted tiles. So one down to the left of the toilet, one down on the top of the tub, and you can see where clearly they're falling off the wall. And it's one of 2 things. One, it has to do with the wall slanting. In addition, it also has to do with just lots of moisture and wetness in the wall, and then that glue over time separating. So the 2 areas, the 2 items on the left are just to show this is the type of repair that has been done over time from this somewhat original. This is probably redone at some point because it's not avocado or mustard, but this it isn't it isn't a great repair. And so this just talks to the neglect, and it does cause moisture in the wall naturally, which leads to all sorts of other issues. So this is a picture of significant signs of water damage, whether it be on the water sill, up on the ceilings in the bathroom, ceilings in the drop ceiling in the attic, around the windows in the attic. There's even water stains. It's hard to see in this, but there's water stains all on the vinyl siding. suggesting that there's water behind that, which is that same kitchen exterior wall has the same problem. The one on the left is or on the far right is the back of the shower wall, so it's the wet wall from the bathroom. And then up on the top is probably the worst example, but an example of ceiling water damage in one of the bedrooms. So having known, I know I know the Contis, and so I said, is it okay if I say all this? And they said yes. And so I wrote a letter, so to speak. I wrote it on the right-hand side. They endorsed it, right? They said, yes, this is exactly what's going on. It has been, all of these issues, it has been neglected. They were told, a handful of years ago that they were told they could not build into that second story of that home, which is why it's still unfinished attic space. Just based on, you can't add a bathtub, you can't add all these things. Nobody wanted to be involved in the construction for that project. That's why it's at unrenovated for the 10 years or 9 years or so that they lived there. Actually, not 2009, so 18 years. And this is the proposed rehab, proposed construction for the new single family dwelling. And this is looking from Sudbury Road. Again, Elise Stone, who's been in town for quite some time, drawing up new homes, is very consistent with what draws homes or architects homes that are very consistent with Concord values and designs. And then this slide captures, it's not a large home. The footprint slightly only on the back right-hand side. But again, architecturally, it sort of fits within the general paradigm of Concord. So that is my presentation. That kind of gives you a sense for why I do believe it, whether I do believe it should not, it really cannot be maintained, and it cannot be repaired. It is small to begin with, and the problems are everywhere. But I think the documentation it's great that some of it was already with the building inspector, building department. And I think this captures a little bit more with tried to capture some photos and at least, a slide or two of the history of, how it has been passed along by digging into all the deeds and records and whatnot. But does anyone have any questions for me?
Thank you for a very thorough presentation. I think you did a really good job presenting all the details and the challenges that you're facing. So thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or clarification, Nancy?
Can you hear me? Yes, I'm unmuted, yeah. I guess. I want to thank you for this presentation. It's actually amazing. It is a post-World War II house, and these houses went up all over the country very fast, and sometimes very maybe not intended for the long run. I grew up in Southern California in houses like that, so I appreciate the problems with them, and I appreciate what you said about them. However, they are historic in one sense. They do represent this period of time when the country was coming back full bore, and there were more kids, and so that doesn't mean I'm going to not support the demolition, but it is an important period in our history, and some of these houses really reflect the speed with which we were trying to readjust and grow. That's all. Thank you.
I do agree with that, and yeah, thanks for sharing too. Yep.
Yeah.
Nancy Frisell-Lee.
I thank you for your presentation. I had a chance to walk around the house today, so I could see the holes that you dug and some of the issues. And it's a really great property. It's on a large piece of land, nice backyard. And one of the one of the fun things about being a member of this committee is that we get to walk, or I get to walk around other neighborhoods that I don't frequent. So it was nice for me to, I took a long look at some of the other houses, and more than I have in the past, and got a real flavor for the neighborhood and the scale. That's the scale of those houses. It's so comforting to see that it's a neighborhood not full of new builds and McMansions. So I appreciate your attentiveness to the neighborhood and the surrounds and what you want to do next. I don't have any problem with your application. I can see that the problems with the house. And while, we do try to preserve houses of all different kinds, and it's sad to see these neighborhoods losing character. Nancy's point about that these houses weren't meant to survive for years and years is a really good one. So thank you.
Any other discussion?
Could I add one more thing? It's been fairly typical of our commission to request photo documentation of the interiors of buildings, even if we agree that they're not preferably preserved. So I would like to see some photographs of what might be the original character of the building on the inside, because that's an important part. That's where the people lived. And we do like to see that for the record. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I'm happy to provide that. The home still isn't fully cleaned out. I kind of bought it as is, and I didn't want to air too much publicly but yes, I'm happy to provide once I clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at these houses from different eras, and you can see by their interiors a lot of what might have been going on at the time. So thank you.
Lauren?
Yeah, I'd just like to add one thing, and that is, maybe it's two things actually. And that is that we've had, a few of these air-conditioned homes come up, recently. And it is clear that this was a period in Concord's history where these modest houses went up. And I do think it's worth thinking about how can we capture that information as they are disappearing. It is, as Nancy mentioned, an important part of American history, for average Americans who were, in that post-war period, living in modest homes. And I think it is unfortunate that we're losing so many. That said, the last two that have come before us were in tough shape. And I'm thinking through as a designer, how could you rehabilitate this house? You'd have to lift it off its foundation, build a new foundation, and, you could still keep a modest house, but it would be, substantial, undertaking. And the second thing is that just, one of the things we've talked about in the commission, apropos of our historic preservation plan, is the loss of modest houses in Concord. And I do, say that with some sadness, that these, small houses, it's a neighborhood that has a lot of these, these houses. So it's not to say that, rebuilding something that's, better suited for a family is, not the right solution, but I just take note of that. Those two issues, really, it's the history of air-conditioned homes and the post-war housing in Concord, and second, just acknowledging the loss of these modest dwellings.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I'd be willing to entertain a motion to either deem it preferably preserved or not preferably preserved.
Well, should the motion be one or the other?
It should be. It has to be.
Yeah, okay.
So
what are we voting on?
I'd like to entertain a motion.
Oh.
So we can settle it.
Oh, okay. Okay. I guess I will make a motion that it not be preferably preserved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'd like to amend.
Amendment for the photographs?
I'd like to amend the motion. Yes.
Oh, okay. I agree with her.
Yeah. To that it be that the house be not preferably preserved, but subject to the documentation, general standards for documentation in the planning office.
Okay.
Thank you, Lauren.
We have a second.
Second.
Second. Very good. All in favor? Lauren?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Nancy?
This one, Nelson.
Thank you, Stella Lee.
I
Rob?
Aye.
Callie?
I
Beautiful. And Sarah Cusin?
Aye.
Okay. It's unanimous. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And I'll follow up with the planning board, the planning board for the photos.
Tonight? No.
Not tonight. I gotta go take a broom. I gotta go get my broom. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
One,
Thank
two,
you.
three, four.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we've got 286 Shadyside Avenue, application by Jacob Wallace.
Hello. I'm Colby Wallace. Thank you very much for the time. 286 Shadyside is very different from the last place you saw. And also it's over by the airport. It's to the west of the airport. If you're familiar with that, obviously you're familiar with that area. It's a horse farm, and it's been a horse farm for a little while, and it's been and it's part of the in the sort of farming area over there. I don't know if anybody had a chance to walk down that road. It's at the end, Shadyside. Okay, excellent. So you have the context for it. Shadyside is sort of dead ends up in there. And this property in particular is at the entrance to the property in general, where if you go down in, the horse operation is down there, where it's an equestrian operation. There's a house that was built in the 90s down in there. And this house, and I'm going to turn it over to Colin, my colleague here, Colin Cleland. He's the architect, and he'll have a lot more of the details. I'll just give you the summary of it. The house that was built in the 90s is very different from this house. This house is subject already to a covenant with the town that it can't be used sort of in a commercial way. So it's already, and basically you can't be rented. You can't have tenants in there. It can be used for the farming operations.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And it's a private covenant with the town.
Huh.
And I don't really know the history of it. Unlike Mr. Moritz, I definitely don't know all that he knew about that property, which was remarkable, all the things he knew about the history of that property. This one, we're just sort of learning about it. And when the architects got in there, and I'm sure you guys in your roles have wandered properties with architects and sort of hear them mumbling under their breath when they're seeing things that are quite extraordinary about how this place survived, or who put that there when, that kind of stuff. So Colin will speak to that. And so I would look at this is our first meeting with the commission. I would hope that we could look at it that way. And if we get into this, we're in no rush for this. We are looking for a demolition permit, but we're in absolutely no rush. And so if there's more that you're going to need and have a second hearing, that's perfectly fine with us as we dive into this. And so I think what I'll do at this point, because I don't know much about the property, I'm just sort of the fiduciary owner. And I'll turn it over to Colin, who has studied the property. They've scanned it. They've got some ideas for the future, but again, there's nothing on the books or in set in stone right now. But also, I'll turn it over to you, Colin. Thank you.
Thanks, Colby, and thanks everyone for the opportunity to present this. I'm going to share my screen as well. And we'll walk through the documents that we've previously shared. Commission, let me make sure. I'm going to go ahead and try and share a document as opposed to the full screen. Give me 1 second.
Was there?
Mhm. All right, I'm going to zoom in. So you can see the main house that Colby was referring to. This is acted as sort of the gatehouse historically at the entrance of the site. This is the dead end road here where my cursor is. I'll zoom in as well on the other documents. So the structure at 286 Shadyside is included in the Town of Concord's inventory of historic resources, and therefore subject to review under Article 32. Based on correspondence with Ann Clifford, the structure is not located within a local historic district, is not individually listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Based on town records and available documentation, and I'll actually go to this, an aerial photo for you all. The building, we understand that it was built approximately in 1880. The building first appears in 1956 aerial photography, which, if you'll allow me 1 second. So on the left-hand side is just the raw satellite imagery, and I'll zoom in as close as I can. You can see, as Colby noted, again, I'll zoom out. Obviously, this is a little clunky, so apologies. But you can see the house, obviously built in the 90s, does not exist at this time. There is this 1956 aerial photography of that structure. And from what we've been able to determine through this, the footprint is the main house structure is relatively the same. It is the additions on the backside that we would question whether or not that was part of the existing structure. And we have some additional photography from the inside attic spaces that we'll show as well. The town assessor also identifies an effective year built of 2004, which reflects substantial renovation and modernization, and that generally appears on the exterior of the structure as well, through hardy board siding, through asphalt shingle roof, other things pointed out in the photos, which I'll reference in a moment. So while a structure in the general footprint of today's building can be identified historically, available documentation and field observation indicate that it has undergone significant alteration and modifications over time. The breadth of these modifications seem to have eliminated any historic structure, building elements, or period details to the extent that the building cannot be visually identified as meeting the standards of historical inventory. And I'll just go to some of those quickly for you. So aerial photography, the modern day photography, you can see the structure, you can see the main house, you can see the horse barn in the rear. And then some of the points I was referencing just a moment ago, vinyl windows and casing trim, hardy board shingle siding, asphalt shingle roof. And then what we did was attempt to link what we determined as the main house and then the rear addition off the back, identified in blue and highlighted with the photography, as well as the rear porch, which I'll pan over and see on the right-hand side here, both of which have been additional structures in more recent time than 1880 of the original main house. The existing structure exhibits clear evidence of substantial modernization and alteration, that is interior and exterior. I mentioned the hardy board, the vinyl siding, alterations of roof lines, which again will indicate on the back side more explicitly. Actually the chimney is actually not hooked up at all in any way. It was actually unceremoniously moved away from its function in the center. So it's kind of lopped off. There's also a fun plumbing element where a toilet is rotated 90 degrees against the wall, sort of in the middle of the floor. Lots of fun stuff. I'll share some photos. Apologies, there's not interior photos included in this, but I do have some in a folder for reference if everyone's willing to take a look. Interior investigation further supports the assessment at the attic level within the rear addition. Allow me to pull that up real quick. So I'm going to zoom in. You can see the indication of what we believe was the original addition off of the rear. So we're on the rear side of the house for anyone who's been there today. This red line mimics the interior attic space that we would deem as the original gable of that addition. And essentially they utilized that same ridge point and then expanded it. And that allowed them to create a larger kitchen addition off the back, as well as that screened-in porch off to the left-hand side. So if you're looking at it, sort of the rear here, that blue would be the modernization of that rear addition, and then the red being the original that align and sync with this red here, and then this blue here. Additionally, as we go under the structure, CMU foundation walls could be observed within the crawl space that's photographed here. Of the rear portion of the building indicate later construction phases distinct from the original structure. That is at this point here, you can, as I mentioned. Taken together, we believe these conditions demonstrate that the building's form, section, and appearance materials have been altered in various efforts, all identified by contemporary construction materials, meant to sort of mimic, but not necessarily achieve that sort of historic character. A relatively substantial rear addition has been added, expanding beyond the original foundation and further altering the building's bulk and components. Original materials and constructions have been largely replaced or obscured, which we would contend was the 2004 renovations. Structure no longer clearly conveys its original period of construction through materials, detailing, or spatial configuration, primarily referring to the rear and the interiors. And we believe that for these reasons, we are submitting this, on behalf of our client for proposed demolition. The loss of historic integrity due to the alterations, functional loss due to the sort of haphazard interior renovations that were done. And then, as Colby mentioned, the aspirations of our client to have long-term stewardship and site planning that can be thought through beyond the life of this building. And I'm just going to pan through to make sure everyone can see sort of the full document. So the overall site plan, a blown up site plan, a simple demolition plan of the structure. And this is all the information that we shared previously. A front facade study that shows the bulk, the main house indicated in red, the rear addition in blue, the rear porch in green, and pointing out those modernization in the claddings and windows. The rear addition indication of that existing gable here, and then the blue indicating that enlargement. And then the historical photography that we started with at the top. We just diagrammed these in. Actually, that was included it's also the 1956 aerial, but it shows the present day structures. So again, just for sort of fun reference, this is the house that exists today, and then the horse barn that exists today as well. And then I'll quickly.
And it's not built yet, right?
The main house is built. Yeah,
no,
that is
the
not
barn.
Oh, yes, it is. The horse barn, yes.
Yeah, it says not built yet. And so does the present day house says not built yet, but that's not right either.
Sorry, that is specific to the 1956 photo. If you go
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay. Sorry, and then the last one is the present day, 2013. But it does indicate that obviously they do exist through the satellite imagery, but apologies for that for that
Okay, and
clarification.
the horse farm operation has been there for some time.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. And just to kind of round out, I just want to show, apologies, it's not organized into the structure of the presentation, but I can show you just sort of the quote unquote character of the interior, if that photo was to ever open up. But you can see what seems to be a circa 2004 style, and apologies, because I think I'm still sharing the just the PDF and not the full screen. So I'll change that in just a moment.
And while you're opening that, Colin, can you, if you know, can you expound on that 2004 thing? It sounds like there was it probably a permit that was given for
Yes.
the
So on
model,
yes
but it sounds like
on
the town kind of saw it as a new build or something.
yeah. So
And
on
you
the
might not.
yeah, sure. From what we can determine on the assessor's card, the effective year built of this structure was 2004, which by that linear logic would mean that the renovations largely were done around that time. But beyond that, we do not have explicit building department paper trail to indicate that beyond what's on the card. So again, the character of the kitchen addition. Hope everyone can see that right now. I just like to share, because this is sort of a fun one, which is the perpendicular toilet that is out in the middle of the bathroom space. This is on the upper level. It'll blow up in a second, but
Yeah.
that's sort of actually at that center second floor window, for a beautiful vista out while you're sitting.
Best view in the house.
Yeah. And I think we've tried to cherry pick, obviously, the ones that were the most indicative of what was worth seeing. We didn't know we were to include the interiors, so obviously we were happy to share this whole catalog if needed. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Any questions? Discussion? Nancy.
I have some questions. I was out there today and I was impressed once again by the agricultural nature of everything down Shady Hill or Shady Side. In the spirit of disclosure, I worked for the national park for years. Do you abut any national park land? I don't think so.
I don't think so. It does abut the not the armory. What's it called? The Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah.
Is over there, and if maybe I could share my screen on the Google Earth.
It's very close also to town conservation land.
Oh yeah, it's surrounded by that. That is for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is, and it's also as the work we've been doing out there, and Colin, you'll recall with our landscape architects recently.
Who
What's
are they?
happening out there is fascinating. The
Who are
water. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Who are the landscape architects?
Oh,
Justin Winters, Wintergreen.
Oh,
They're
okay.
Massachusetts based. Yep.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
what's happening out there is it's starting to the water always wins,
Yeah.
and it's coming back. And I'll show you. Can you see that now? See where my cursor's moving?
Yeah.
And this is all, I mean, this is just, this is owned, this is part of the property, but it's all very much wetlands protected, as you can just see. And it's really kind of neat. The land is just, it's taking back its marsh. And over here, what you're thinking of too, this is actually conservation.
Rescue Farm, yeah.
All around here.
Yeah.
And this is all, I believe, in some farmland conservation easements. Anyway, I don't know who owns this. I don't know who's over here.
I didn't have time to check all that out, and I'm sorry. The house is interesting in a way if you take away the modern additions, and it would be really interesting to see and understand a little bit more about the house and the interior and the relationship to the landscape beyond it, because it's very interesting back there. And I just didn't get 100% convinced about how it all fit together. Sorry.
Are you speculating on, or sorry, are you asking about the main house and the rear additions? Sorry, that when I say main house, I mean the main portion of the structure and then the rear additions off the back?
Yeah, and the main portion of the structure is what date again?
1880.
Yeah, 1880. Okay. It's probably been there as part of the Concord landscape for a long time. So I'm a little feeling sentimental about that.
Yeah, and you mentioned there was some covenant that it couldn't be rented, or some kind of restriction put on it.
Yeah, the covenant is very, very short and sweet. I don't think I can access it right now to share it, but it's basically that it because it's zoned out there for agricultural
Right.
operations, which is really a lot. I mean, it's really a lot of fun for Concord that it has that amount of farmland out there. And so because it's in that agricultural zone, there's different types of restrictions on the residences that are kicking around there. And apparently because it's part of a larger parcel, and I don't know if this was something that the previous owners worked out with the town when they built their new house in the 90s, that perhaps this was going to be something that could be used very specifically for the farm operations or the farm projects or something. And so what that means is that we can house farm workers. We can use it as a guest house. We can, the owner can use it for anything that's sort of privately owned, but it can never be something that's rented on the open market in any kind of commercial way.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
of that. It is very interesting. So I don't know what the transaction with the planning board was on that one.
Have you been to the planning board already?
No, because like I was alluding to earlier, we're not in a rush.
Oh, good.
We're looking at we're looking at trying to figure out what to do with this particular part of the property.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a fascinating question, frankly.
yeah,
There's a lot that could be really compatible with the horse farm operation and with the historic landscape as well. And
Yeah.
the direct relationship with the park is kind of interesting too.
yeah.
So I have to turn myself in. I used to be part of the national park.
Where is the park out there? Just out of curiosity.
It's right. For sure, it's behind the Inferrara property on Lexington Road.
Okay.
And I honestly don't remember precisely where the national park and federal
Bloody
ownership
Angle, I
line
saw on the
is.
map just east.
I'm sorry.
The Bloody Angle is just east of where.
Oh, that too. Yeah. And the trail, the Battle Road Trail goes right across Shadyside. And that must be national park land. So this property, I'm guessing, is definitely beyond that, but it might abut national park I don't know. I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to check. Yeah, and Bloody Angle, Doug, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's right over there.
Yeah.
Rob?
Thank you. And thank you guys for a really good kind of summation of everything. I'll be honest, I'm a little torn about this. I have a lot of feelings about this this property. I think the history, specifically the immigrant kind of vernacular history of this, is really compelling for the town and rich, and something that we really have to be careful about losing sight of as we consider increasing demolition applications and things like that. One question I had was, is any other part of the property, is there historical documentation that could further preserve this history anywhere. So, because it's not just the house itself, it's really this property itself is significant historically.
There's,
Sorry.
sorry, there's the
Sorry.
Macris document, right? I see Lauren shaking her head, yes.
Okay.
And I was shocked at first to see that because I thought, wait a minute, they can, we can't be tearing down the Ferrara farmstand and house.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but it did refer to this property, so.
Yes, yeah, okay. And I guess, it's a little bit, it's too bad that some of the historic nature of the house has been overshadowed a bit by some more recent construction. And, I'm interested in the conversation with the commission here around how that factors into whether it's preferably preserved or not.
And it sounded like you had something immediate to add to the.
Sorry,
topic.
I just hope folks had a chance to check the historical assessment form that I had prepared that did go into the history of this property.
Yes.
Okay, good. So it
Yes.
does show up on early maps, including 1875. So it's slightly earlier than
Yeah.
Was shown in Macris, and it's connected to the Michael and Bridget Murphy family. They built it and they owned let's see, 60, 70, 80, about 90 acres in that area. So this was the farmhouse for 90 acres, and they were a group of Irish immigrants.
Wow.
Yes.
And there are interesting agreements when they first arrived here in Concord and when they were purchasing this land. They had to tend the crops and pay off their mortgage, but like through the yield of the crops. And you'll see it all in the art, in the little write-up that I wrote.
And you're right.
Yes.
So,
And apologies, Anne. Is that write-up publicly available? And I get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Yes, it's posted on the current meeting documents webpage
Fantastic.
on
Thank
the
you.
Historical Commission. Yeah.
Lauren?
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciated, Anne, what you did, and also the Macris form.
yeah.
And I'm going to just, since nobody's talked about it yet, just address the question about integrity, right? And that has to do with alterations and whether or not the building still has sufficient integrity to convey its historic significance. So I think there's no question that there's been material replacements, right? We've got some exterior materials, we've got some roof materials, and we've got perhaps some window. But if you look at the front facade and sort of the sides, kind of the U-shape, what's presented to the public way, in my mind, when I look at older photographs, it looks like it conveys the architectural character. So I think, although it has lost some original materials, no question, that doesn't, in my mind, mean that it's sufficiently lost its integrity.
Right.
And I think given that it's in Macris, it borders really significant property. It's part of an important, again, this is really part of an important phase of Concord's history. I think it would be, I could not support it being not preferably preserved. So I think it's pretty clear that it is, it still retains historical significance.
Yeah.
Nancy?
Which one?
No,
So I echo everything that everyone has said. I read with great interest Anne's write-up, and also was really pleased to see the documentation about the Irish immigrant ownership of the property. And we've been talking about that last few years, about finding more of that history. And here's concrete proof of that. And walking down that street, which I had I am ashamed to say I'd never walked down that street before.
A long street.
Well, I didn't walk down it actually. Okay, I'll confess, I drove. I was really, and I was like you, Nancy. I saw the picture on the Macrosform of the house on the corner, the Inn Ferrara house, and I thought, oh no, no.
Yeah.
So then where is this house? And realizing that it's really the oldest, it is the oldest existing house on that remaining house on that
Shadyside.
street.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, I think that it would be really sad to lose the house. And looking at the inside and how it's been renovated inside, it's clear that people have been living there, and structurally it's sound. Like Lauren, I wondered about the materials. I read, carefully the presenter's notes about the newer materials, but those can be replaced. And HEC often, this isn't a historic district, but HEC often says, please put in, wooden windows and original, looking materials. So
Mhm.
there's nothing to prevent someone who really cares about the history of the house. And Lauren said too, that it still looks like you go up to the house and it still looks like a 19th century farmhouse. And when that's gone, all, signs of what the original 19th century use of all that land is for. And it's still wonderful that we have all that preserved agricultural land. We're lucky to have that. So from my point of view, I would not recommend demolishing the house. I think that would be a loss.
Yeah.
Oh, if like Concord Housing, or if there's any kind of programs for kind of supporting like farmer. I know there's always discussion about making things affordable for farming and teachers. Is that anything we know about at all? That
I know.
that's that'd be like the perfect marriage, wouldn't it? I mean, it's like the perfect place for that purpose, but that's kind of neither here nor there. Nancy, Nelson.
Sorry.
I'm just wondering, it's none of the historical commission's business exactly, but the opportunity might exist for this to become, maybe a more historically inspiring entry to the horse farm operation. And I don't know. I can't help myself. I'm a landscape architect by training, and I'm just trying to see what else might happen. But I think there's options for that house, and I'm clearly, as you might guess, I'm not in favor of it not being preserved.
Nancy Friselli.
Yeah, I had another question about the additions in the back. I know you mentioned 2004, there were extensive renovations, and you can see that inside.
Nice.
Really nice. But the two extensions in the back, are they recent also, or are they sometime, within the 20th century that add to the history of the house?
Oh, good question.
So there was the original gable that was perpendicular to the main house, and then the extensions up to expand that gable laterally to allow for a more ample rear addition. So we would contend that essentially it was almost completely rebuilt. The existing walls that created that perpendicular structure on the back side of the main house were demolished, and then it was expanded into the larger kitchen and the rear porch.
Well, most houses change over time, so that's not, but I'm just wondering, when was that, when this 2004 renovation happened, or was it sometime earlier done by farming families?
We would contend in the 2004 period, and that would be indicated with CMU foundations, or recent construction methodologies.
Okay. I'm sensing a consensus building here. So are we ready for a motion?
I think so.
I think so.
I made the last one. I move that this structure be preferably preserved.
We have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All in favor, Nancy Frisella Lee,
I
Doug is aye, Sarah Cusin. You're a mute, but I heard aye. I saw aye with your lips.
Hi, Sarah.
Nancy
Aye.
Nelson, it's your motion, so not a surprise. Lauren Meyer,
Aye.
Callie,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
okay,
Me too.
all right, it's unanimous.
I can't help but be excited about what this house might become. So I'll just say that.
Yeah,
And
it does.
really,
The interior looks,
yeah,
I mean, it's got some issues, but you know,
it is such a beautiful location and
yeah,
such an important part of that landscape that was Concord.
that could be
Yes.
made into something really interesting.
Yep.
That I think people would really be desirous of. So
Yeah. I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, historic marker program, the 62 Elm Street application. Was there someone to present on that? Or is that something, was that the standards that you had, Ann?
Well, there are two items. There is an application.
Okay,
I guess that person isn't in the audience today.
okay,
But they're basically proposing that the property be named the Bush Ricketson House,
yep,
circa 1875, and that's at 62 Elm Street. And that does coincide with the Macros Forum. I
Yep.
did some research and could confirm that it was definitely the Ricketson House, but the fact that it had been rented, and they said in the Macros Forum by the Bush family, that isn't something I wasn't able to get to the library to check that part of it.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't really sure why the Bush name was suggested in the Macros Forum. It was Reverend Bush.
That's
because
an
the
interesting,
connection with George W. Bush.
Right,
it's an interesting diversion, isn't it?
right. He never actually owned it.
Yeah.
And it was a very short period of time also.
Right,
Just 4 years.
right. Whereas Walton Ricketson was an artist, and I think he did a bust of Thoreau that's in the Concord Public Library.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, cool.
So he's a true historical figure
Yeah,
in Concord. Yeah.
So the name would be,
I would actually recommend the Walton Ricketson House.
Yeah. That would make sense to me, and I wonder if they're really gung ho on the Bush part of it, that we get they'd supply more information about why that would be a significant addition.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay. So maybe bring this up next time.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
All right.
And the standards, Ann, you've got
Yes. So, all right, let me bring this up. So, as you all know, the Concord Historical Commission has a longstanding historic marker program. It's been in place since 1974, and there are over 100 markers. This describes the goals. The property owners apply and they suggest the text, which is reviewed for accuracy by the Historical Commission and the Historical Commission staff and members. There are standard sizes that go back to the 1970s, and here they are. So back in 2025, the owner of the Bigelow House who Nancy Nelson had talked to, had approached the commission about enhancing the marker on the house. And the commission approved this text, Bigelow House, 1840, Safe Harbor for Shadrach Menkins, 1851. And, after, I guess, learning about the Black History Marker Trail program in, I think, December, I went by the house to see if this marker was up, and it wasn't. So I kind of got back in touch with the owner to see what was happening, and I copied Bill Crosby, who creates these markers. Right, and the owner was kind of quiet, but he immediately came into the office with 2 separate markers. And typically the staff reviews the layout before they're fabricated. So I was surprised to see 2 separate markers. But this actually provides an opportunity to, really look at the program and maybe expand the standard sizes because they really don't fit on, they could fit on, one of the standard sizes, but, or would you prefer to make it slightly larger so that it's more readable? I asked them to provide a few options, and I think if this is something that the commission would like to pursue, like having markers on houses with lengthier text than in the past, then that's something that we could bring before the HDC and just get an approval for an additional standard size. So I just wanted to present that to you. And do you have a particular well, I'll show you the comparison, the existing approved standard sizes, and then possible additions to consider.
Oh, so.
And I could bring this before the HTC as well, and just like an informal presentation to see if they have a preference, because maybe it's really up to them.
So it really is, but the width hasn't changed really significantly. Just the height out of necessity.
Right.
I think it would be great to have extra standards just to know that there's something we can go to if we need it.
Right.
Right. The web page actually encourages lengthier text and more sort of interpretive text, but it hasn't been done traditionally. But so this would actually be, a first. And it's interesting that this is also one of the sites chosen by the Black History
Heritage Trail.
Right. So I guess,
wow.
Would you?
So I've got a question.
I see lots of hands up. So
Okay.
Nancy Nelson, I think you're first on my screen.
I think I like to see things that are coordinated and uniform and seem to all flow together. And this seems like an incredibly rich opportunity to look at these signs. I haven't dug too far into what the Black Heritage Trail people are thinking they want to do, but there's other trails that might come up in town.
There's luck.
And it might make sense to have something that looks more like a coordinated approach to historical signage in the town. And that's kind of where I am. It can't be that everything goes on a house, because the Great Fields is not a house. But I think it needs some more thought. And I'm not sure, I haven't really looked deeply into what the current proposals are for the Black Heritage Trail, but I believe the last thing I saw was they were tall or they were broad.
I'll share that later. That's actually next on the agenda.
Oh, okay, sorry. But I think we need some kind of coordinated sign program so that when people come here, they can find their way around and not have to look at 5 different pamphlets to explain. Anyway, that's it.
Nancy Frisella-Lee.
So, as most of you know, I've been really taking a deep dive in monuments and signage the last 3 years since I've joined the commission. And I have an ongoing inventory on my computer. And the Historical Commission has two programs. One is obsolete. One are the oval signs above the street signs. And they are two we've already taken down because they were inaccurate or inappropriate. The others are really faded and worn and also really kind of outdated. And so we should probably look at them as a whole. The house signs, first I want to ask Anne, do we have a list? Because I take pictures of lots of them and I have a running list, but is there like one place where there's a complete list altogether?
Yes.
Okay,
I
I'll
was
come
just
to,
thinking I should post that on the
yeah,
website.
I'll
Yeah.
come,
so that it
I'll
is
come to you for that, yeah. So I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Because I think it's just another opportunity. Again, there are lots of monuments and markers projects. I've been writing about this all day today, and I'll address this more when we talk about the Rev War markers. But these markers, some of them might also be outdated. I don't know. And I don't have a problem with them being consistent of themselves. I don't think they have to be tied in with other kinds of signage, like, on conservation land. That's another type of sign.
Yeah,
that they
that's
won't-
another one.
So that's okay. So, but I like these to be consistent, but whether they need to be the same size, I don't think people are going to be looking from one to another. So maybe a few different possibilities are okay. Maybe just that we look at them all as a whole and make, for example, they always have men's names on them, and maybe
Mm.
that's inappropriate now. And maybe if homeowners were alerted to the fact that we were re-looking at this program, they might want to rethink some of the history of their own house. We might, I'm sure all of us combined would have input into all of that. And Beth Van Duzer, who's on this call too. If we're going to add the information, for example, that we have on the Bigelow house, other houses could have that abbreviated history. That I've made this comment before too. We can't put all information that a visitor could benefit from on a sign, but
Exactly.
the signs are but they are when you go to any town in our town, when you pass one and you see one, it signifies to the viewer there's something special about this house.
Yeah.
And so you go and research it. So I do, but a few more words like what we have on the Bigelow house is really welcome. It's an appetizer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well said.
Appetizer, I like that. Lauren?
Yeah, I don't have much to add really. I like the idea actually of just taking the design and making it a little bit more flexible to enhance the information. And as long as it's consistent and it reads as part of the house sign program, I think this is a great idea. And I agree with the different options. I think the number 2 option is too large. So I agree with that. And I think it was really nice to show what the Bigelow House combined text at the current size looks like, and you can see how small it is. So I think this is terrific, and I totally support it. And also, I would add that I don't think it's entirely the HCC's decision, right? Because couldn't we have historic house markers on structures that aren't in a local historic district?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Important point.
Yeah.
Right?
And they oversee the visual aspects and design aspects. We focus more on the content.
Right.
But
So
if they reject something,
Right.
then we
We'll
don't
have to
one
have a
standard
talk.
in the district and a different
Yeah.
standard someplace
We'll have
else.
to talk.
right. But I think it's great, and I think we ought to. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So that's
Do
my
you need a motion on anything, Ann? Do we need to vote?
Sure. Right. I guess you might as well. I don't think it would be a vote necessarily to submit an application yet to HCC. I think it's really to
Are
do
we
an
supportive
informal
of
presentation from the
Okay.
Historical Commission to the Historic Districts
Yep.
Commission.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Okay.
Great.
Does anyone want to make that motion that Ann just made?
What she said.
Yeah. I'll make that motion for whatever it is.
Third.
We have a second. Okay, Lauren? Lauren's an aye. I'm an aye. Syracusean. Okay. Nancy Purcell Lee. Nancy Nelson.
I
Callie Naris. Rob, you already seconded, so you're good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Ann,
Okay, great.
you go.
Thanks.
Yay.
Beautiful. And that was the perfect segue to the Black Heritage Trail discussion.
Woohoo. So thank you all. I guess if that last conversation was addressing an appetizer, this is really a full course meal. And part of that is by design. As I think about Concord's Black history, an appetizer often isn't enough, right? Because it is such a, I'd say, new to Concord set of narratives that we, as a Black Heritage Trail task force, believe in a little bit more content to be interpreted a little bit more openly. And so what I wanted to do is have this commission take a little bit of time to have a conversation about the project itself. I know many of you all have heard about the project, and it's certainly percolating across town, and there's really good support and questions asked. But before we get into really the business end of the project, I wanted to make sure this group had an opportunity to have a conversation before the task force will present to the HDC very soon. We're getting our ducks in order for that, but it felt appropriate to bring it to this group. And so, Ann or Doug, I had forwarded to you all earlier this evening. I asked our task force for an updated set of slides and things. Is it possible to share screen and show any of that? I don't know if Ann's able to do that. Sorry.
So it was in an email, it's not on their website?
It's on the website, but
Oh, okay.
it's also they had sent over something just an hour ago or so that had updated stuff, but we can also go on the website. That's fine. I just forwarded that to you. Sorry, Ann.
No, that's okay. Let me just pull it up.
And while Ann pulls it up, I guess if it's helpful, I can give a really brief synopsis of this project. This is a project that there's funding available from the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, and in collaboration with them, the Visitor Center in Concord, the Robbins House as well. This project is really many years in the making. Those of us who have been affiliated with the Robbins House and other Black history projects in town have wanted trail markers for some time, recognizing that Concord has a very rich Black history, but its narratives are, I would say, undertold, to put it mildly. And so if it's all right, Ann, would you mind driving this? And I'll go through these slides very quickly. And again, like I said, the purpose of this is simply to get all of us up to speed on where this project's moving, and to be able to ask questions that I can bring back to the task force as appropriate. And so, as you see here, the current proposal is for 8 to 10 trail markers, some of which are in the Concord Historic District, not all, but many. And we prioritize the location of a lot of these markers based off of what the Robbins House research has shown us over the past number of years. And we've retained a design firm to help us design them so that they are tasteful. They are in line with Concord's kind of architecture and environmental landscape. And they're meant to be relatively functional to drive people from one part of the trail to the next, from one marker to the next, as opposed to being commemorative in nature. See here. I've talked a little bit about this, and we've, as a town, gotten better about sharing Concord's Black history and making it more visible, as we have with many elements of Concord's historical narrative. But this should be more of a permanent wayfinding technique to get visitors and residents the opportunity to see how prevalent Black history has been within Concord. We can skip the slide. This is just the members of the advisory team or the task force. There's many of us are experts in Black history and have a background in this area of kind of New England-based Black history content. And so as we put together the content for these slides, I know all of us here on the commission are sensitive to the fact that we want to make sure that the information is accurate. And we do have a number of folks who are editing and checking the content to ensure accuracy. If you want to see yours truly at a podcast, my first ever podcast, you can check this out, Concord for All podcast. And of course, the information we shared through the town's webpage as well. If anybody was around for Patriots Day, we did kind of float some temporary signs just to get a feel for the community. They were very well received. I have not heard specific feedback around size or content, but as we showed some of these temporary trail markers to folks, we got some very good feedback there, which was really nice. And then we did assess how, we actually pinpointed quite a number of locations that had some element of significance to Black history in Concord. And we did narrow those down through a matrix system to 8 to 10 or so. Right, so we had some temporary lawn signs. The one you see here is simply a mock-up. It is not necessarily what it will look like. We just wanted to get a flavor for content, size. Was it too busy? Did it have the information people wanted? Things like that. Yeah. And so I'll go through really quickly the sites that we have prioritized. And then I'll show you a little bit of what the current mock-up is going to look like. So obviously the Great Field, many of us know as being incredibly significant to Black history. And the idea here is that this would have a significant amount of content. And so unlike our previous conversation, which offers kind of a welcome to do more research, we want to recognize that people are going to move quickly. Right, we see this at the Robbins House all the time. People move quickly and they actually want as much information as possible, as quickly as possible, because they may not do their own research after they leave. And so there is quite a bit of content saturation in each of these signs, but we're careful about each word to make sure that it's not too much for each person. So that's one. The townhouse, or right downtown, which would highlight the work of John Garrison Jr. As you'll see on most of these signs, there is a visual component to it that represents the person. Where we have the actual photos, we would aspire to use those. And the current conversation with the team is figuring out, for those people for whom we do not have a likeness, how do we represent them? Is it through drawing? Is it more artistic? And so that's an ongoing conversation. Right, so that's two. The Universalist Meeting House, where Frederick Douglass did speak. And so these are not all people who were natives of Concord. As you'll see in the next few, we have Frederick Douglass, we'll have Harriet Tubman, folks who have visited Concord as well. Monument Square in the burying ground here. John Jack, another person who was enslaved in Concord. And so this does tell the narrative arc of enslavement to free to landowner in Concord, which is an important arc that we stress through our history.
Where would this sign actually go?
So that's another good question. And one
because I give the tours.
Yeah,
and you give one today, and if you got to go to John Jack, of course. I mean, it's a fantastic story.
Yeah,
but obviously, it's over the hill and far away. So you're not going to see it unless you know where you're going.
That's right. And I think we're still taking feedback on the exact locations of those because it has to be consistent with current signage that we have in town, but also able to be, we want it to be accessible as well, you know?
Doug, can we ask questions and make comments like you just did as we go through these slides, or should we wait till the end?
What's your preference, Rob?
prefer-
I don't have a preference at all. I'm happy to take,
So shoot,
we can,
Nancy.
it's meant to be a conversation and I'm
Yeah, because
breezing
each
through
one
all
of these
this.
has raised a couple of questions for me. And just to go back, one, because you're presenting imagery, I'm wondering if, and you are getting closer to the time when you have to present the designs to the HDC.
That's
Have
correct.
you already, have you ever already chosen some of the imagery that pinned down some of the imagery, and have you gotten the reproductive rights permission for them?
So
Or is
if we,
it slightly
if
worked
we
out?
are, yeah, if we are reproducing them, we are in the process of obtaining those rights.
Okay, so you're not finished with that. Okay, that's one question. And the other thing is the representative likeness. I don't know how other people feel, but I find this problematic because with Ellen Garrison, there are no existing photographs
right.
of her. And when the Robbins House started using a representative likeness of her, that I think became fixed in the public imagination because she's been, there have been many events surrounding her, and of course, all the, the discussion around the middle school, naming of the middle school. And I find I'm an art historian, so very sensitive to
Yes.
imagery. And I just, I know that imagery really captures people more than words, especially on signs. People have more, they're more attracted to images than have the, toleration to read a sign. But I think in the case of Ellen Robinson, for example, I think that image in particular has really become associated with her when it's not her at all.
Yeah, Nancy,
It's a continuing discussion.
yeah, and that's one we've had for a very long time,
Yeah.
and I think where we've come down on it, at least at the Robbins House, is in an attempt to humanize her as much as possible, and recognizing that people do resonate with visual media. The representation does more good than harm in that way. Now, of course, I know that when I was there, we were still looking for an actual photo. I think people still are, and
Yeah.
would prefer that. But short of that, I think it was the lesser of a couple of different evils. But I completely understand where you're coming from here.
Okay. Also, in regard to the John Jack, because you're on that one, would your marker be on the street at the entrance to the Old Hill Burying Ground, or at the marker itself?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer for that right now, but that's something I'll get back to the commission.
And has the cemetery committee weighed in on that one?
I believe there was a presentation to them, but I'll double check. And I don't have that feedback off the top of my head though. But
Okay.
if they haven't, that's a good step to take. And would it be possible in the email I sent you, I sent another document that had a more up-to-date set of mock-ups. Is it possible to show that?
Sorry, this came in my email today,
Yeah.
just an hour ago, but let me
I
see.
thought-
I saw that there were two attachments. So
Yeah,
there
there should have been a second attachment. So this would have come from our graphic designer today. And I wanted to give you guys the most up-to-date content and visual that we're imagining. And it also gives a sense of scale, which I think is important too.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you for driving this in. I'm sorry.
Sure. Oh, no problem.
There we go.
So yeah, here's the one for the Universalist meeting house here. And so as you can see, these are fairly substantially sized. And as markers that will get people from marker to marker, they are we wanted to ensure that they were not necessarily eye level, but that the text was easily accessible for folks both who are well, of varying sizes. But as you can see here, relative to our last conversation, these are not as understated. And so I wanted to show you this one specifically because as you'll see here, that is not a photo of Frederick Douglass. That is more of that is still even a representation of Frederick Douglass. And I think we would hope, I think we would do something similar to that for a lot of them. But that content is fairly accurate given our conversations as well. Nancy? Yeah. Nancy Nelson.
You're on mute.
Yep. You're muted.
I think I noticed on the listing of people on your committee or advisory committee that there's nobody from the National Park Service who knows, and the Park Service knows so much about how to develop interpretive signage. And I don't think in my whole career I've ever seen a 5-foot tall one.
Mhm.
And these seem, I'm just going to say it, they seem pretty overbearing in terms of, you had mentioned that you want them to be sort of in line with what the other signage is in the town. So size sure jumps out to me. And I wonder if your efforts to develop appropriate signage might be helped by talking to those guys who know coast to coast about how to communicate to people without overpowering the resource, for instance, or something. Just a thought.
And when you say overpowering, just in terms of the size, the scale of it being too big and
yeah, I'm just a little tiny bit taller than that. I mean, it seems, where else do you ever see anything that size on an
we did quite a bit of research, and other towns and cities do have. This wouldn't be the first place where there are markers this size, certainly, especially other Black Heritage trails across New England.
I think I've seen a couple of those. They're mostly urban, right?
Some, yeah.
And I myself, I've seen a lot coast to coast about national park signage, and I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying it seems really quite overpowering.
Yeah, and I think we can get that feedback from the national park and also recognize that this is a town setting and not a national park setting necessarily, and so I think there are differences there in how we construct those markers, but I think your point is well taken that their feedback, their interpretive expertise is helpful.
I'm not arguing with any of the content or any of the sites.
Right.
It's just the physical dominance of them, and that's all. Thank you. That's all.
Sure. Yeah, Lauren. Oh, you're on mute, Lauren.
Yeah, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I have to say I really like this because this is, after all, one of our big recommendations in the Historic Preservation Plan. And to see this visible in Concord, I think would be really great. And I look forward to, really learning from it. So, and in terms of the physical likenesses, I actually like the physical likeness, but I agree with, I think it was Nancy who said, not a facsimile of the physical likeness, the real photograph, because many of these individuals are recognizable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we see that photograph and say, oh yeah, I know who that is.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. My only question is, and this is really not so much for this project, but it's really about signage in Concord in general. and that there are a lot of initiatives, I think, around to do, commemorative, interpretive, signage. And it would be great to have a little powwow amongst the groups who are doing signage to think, how can we have graphic consistency and identity so that it's all readable as part of Concord. I was as many of you know, I was in Belmont before I came to Concord, and there was a lovely little project done for the Waverly Trail. Now, it was done many years ago, and those are more, they're not sort of tall and skinny, they're shorter and a little wider, but they're wonderful interpretive. There's a whole walk about the Waverly Trail. They were a great addition and really added to the town. So I like the project, and I'm interested to see how this signage relates to other signage.
Yeah.
They do. I'm only 4'10", and so and this sign, if you add the base, would be 6 feet tall. So I do agree with Nancy that it feels like it needs to come down a little bit in size.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that is certainly something the HDC will mention, and we're certainly able to hear those recommendations for sure.
Great. But thank you so much for talking us through this.
Yeah, this is fun. Nancy. Nancy Frizzelli.
I'm sorry that we kind of jumped the gun. We didn't let you get through all of your.
No, this is fine. This is
I feel
all
like we're
good.
jumping the gun because, but I've heard I've heard the presentations many times, so I'm quite familiar with the project. And I'll just talk about the size of the signs first. It's not new that these 5-foot signs have been presented in many presentations the last month or two, and at Patriots Day,
That's right.
when the sample was outside, people saw it, and so I've been at several meetings. In fact, every meeting I've been to, people have commented and expressed concern about the size. So, I guess I'm just hoping that before you go to the HDC, that your commission, or the task force, rather, it's not a commission or a committee, the task force will take all of this expertise into consideration. I myself, I think that they're too big. And I think, if you look at them, they're really interesting signs, but in Concord, I know a lot about the signs in Concord. I'm very familiar with them, and it's not a problem that they're far larger, because if this were a project that was up for like a couple of months and we were having this, all these symposiums and a big celebration, that would be really great. People would be able to go all over town and see these, but for them to be up for a long time, they're really going to dominate a space. And since there's so many of them, you would have to finish going through your list. But there are quite a few of them that are going to be in Monument Square itself, which is already full of monuments. And again, I know that they're explained as temporary, but the word temporary is not quite clear, because does temporary mean, a month, a year, 5 months, or
5 years?
Oh,
Doug? What did you say?
5 years is the
5 years.
proposal.
Okay. So 5 years, for me, that's a long time. So that's just one point that I want to make, that concentrating on the size. I think there have been a lot of concerns, not just here, but many concerns. And I know, and another thing that I'm really concerned about is the process that's taken place. I'm excited about the project, and I've been waiting to comment on this because I'm glad that you're presenting now that you're a member of our commission. But there is so much expertise in this town, and the way that this started out, not sort of announcing it to other town staff and other town bodies who spend they're devoted to looking at Concord history. And as you know, with our preservation plan, we're considering not only Black history, but we want to focus more on women's history,
That's right.
Native American history, people of color, immigrants. All of this is untold, underrepresented history. And I'm sort of advocating for us to take a step back, not to divert attention from this project. This one's a lot of work has been spent on it, but I think it's time for the town to maybe start another temporary committee and really take stock of what we have and what's missing, and whether we need to review our signs. Other states review their signs, and we've taken down a few for content or wear. So, we're all excited about learning Black history. I was at Patriots Day. I was standing in front of, on Monument Street in front of the Garrison House.
Yeah.
Someone who lived at the top of the hill saw your temporary sign, and he said, "Oh, I had no idea." For me, that's the most exciting part of the project, that citizens, Concordians, are going to learn about their own history right in their own backyard. And too few people know that history. That's important. Visitors will definitely, gain from having a more fuller picture of Concord. So, I talked a lot, so I'll stop here. But I am concerned about the size of the signs.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I want to echo your sentiment around maybe a more town-wide approach to how we honor these stories. And I think you and me and others have been alone in asking for that, and I do wonder if two things can happen at the same time. That advocacy can happen without holding up a project like this necessarily. And I think your points are very well taken, both about the size, about the quickness of the project. It has moved very expeditiously, given some of the funding constraints of the project and then things like that. And I think I've been impressed with how thorough they've gone through the committees and gotten feedback and continue to get feedback from the town. But if there's more feedback to gain and more expertise to get, I don't have the sense that folks would balk at that whatsoever. And so that's part of why I'm here, is to collect, more info that we can share with the task force. So thank you.
Great, thanks.
Nancy Nelson.
I just have one very short comment, and it's a little bit off our conversation now about the Black History Trail. But one thing that's seared into my memory is watching farm workers on Lexington Road. Mostly the farmlands at that point in time were owned by Italian families, but the people who were working in the field wore what Americans commonly called coolie hats. And I have always wondered about the importance of Asian people who came here to work in Concord's fields. That's just another story that we don't know much about. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. And this is, I think the message is great and the idea is great too.
Yeah, these are two other signs here that we've put together. I think the content is fairly final. But again, these would be at the same size, same color patterns and things like that.
These could be horizontal, like the ones that are in the national park overlooking the river and the bridge, for instance. These are not inconsistent or problematical for that format. It's just, the size.
Yeah, and we do have some of those signs, those horizontal signs, Nancy, at the Robbins House, because we wanted to make sure those were consistent with National Park signage there. And so we do have that precedence here. I think people like the verticality, is that a word? The verticality of these signs, just as it perhaps takes you walk, it takes a little bit less time. You kind of pause for a minute and then you continue on. It's also more consistent with other Black Heritage Trail markers that we've seen
I'd love
across
to
New
see
England.
those. I'd love to see those. I think I've seen some examples that have been presented on a website somewhere, but
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see those and the context with.
certainly. Doug?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that just um, for context, wearing my other hat as president of the Building Association at 58 Monument Square, where one of these signs will go, the Concord Masonic Corporation. So in April, Joe Palumbo and Jen Turner came and presented the program to the board, and they approved it in principle, not having seen the signs yet. Last week, Jen came back with Beth Williams, and they showed us the kind of the mock-ups. We saw the one of Frederick Douglass, and there was a smaller one, kind of I guess the old design with kind of the proposed wording. And the board of directors approved it very, very happily. They were happy with it, subject to making sure that there were no kind of legal objections from Grand Lodge. I've checked with them and I got nothing but support, so that's all good to go. We talked about location of where it would go because, again, we're just a bunch of guys who don't know a lot about design, and that's fine. But the where we thought it would probably be best is, if you're familiar with the front lawn, there's a granite bench right in front of the bus stop. So we would put it behind that, maybe 3 or 4 feet behind, and over to the side. So it's not going to be in the straight middle clear view of the building, but it will be definitely something that will catch your attention if you're in front of the property. So yeah, I think it's good. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
that's just, every property is going to be different, but just, that case study. So we're ready to go, and I don't know where you are on others, because I know that the plan was present this to the select board on May 27th, I think.
It's coming up, yeah. I think largely a lot of the feedback that I've heard tonight is what we've heard across town, and it's also gotten a lot of support. And that, I think, where I fall on it, both as an historian but also as someone in town here, I think the size is symbolic as well, and I don't disagree with it. If we're talking about a 5-year period in which we can get this information out there in a pretty, in your face way, and then we're thinking strategically about the future, maybe we decide in 10 years that we need a different set of markers, but that narrative has gotten out there and people are more familiar with Black history. I think that's a job well done with this project. And so, yes, it's a little bit overwhelming, perhaps to some, but I'm okay with that, I guess. I'm betraying my hand here a little, but yeah. That's all I got. I think I'm grateful that we spent the time to kind of talk through it and get some questions. I have some notes and some feedback that I can share with the rest of the task force, and I would encourage anybody to attend some of the other meetings that they'll present at in the next few weeks and keep asking questions. And I will say that when we have our task force meetings, we start with feedback from the community, what we're hearing, what we're learning. And so to the extent that we can, we're trying to build in a collaborative spirit. And I think that, to me, that process is as important as the products we're producing here. So thank you.
Do you have something on the town website that says where the meetings are and what the topics are going to be and so on and so forth, like other committees and
That's a good question.
because I'd be interested, but I don't think I've seen that yet.
I believe the webpage does share where these meetings, if it doesn't share where the upcoming meetings are, it certainly shares the previous meetings.
Previous
but
meetings, but not
yeah.
so we could go to attend something that's happening now.
Well, they should be posted.
I think I've seen people. I think I know people who have gone, but I don't know where they found it. I don't know where they found out about it.
I can check in on that. It's certainly not something happening in the dark. We want to make sure that these are accessible conversations for folks.
Yeah. Thank you. Open meeting law, I figure, governs this committee as well as all our other ones. So
That's a good
So
question.
I
I don't
know
think
about
it
that.
does,
I know.
actually.
I
well,
would,
Because it's not-
that might be part of the problem.
Well, it's
I would-
not, yeah. Sorry, go for it, Nancy. Sorry about that.
sorry, I attended last night's open meeting law presentation for committee workers, and task force is exclusive of that. That's more an ethical issue than you're not required to follow open meeting law.
Where did you?
I do appreciate.
That's interesting because it is a meeting. It's talking about something to do in the town, and I'm curious about how it's exempt, because
I asked them about
I
that.
will
Don't think there's any
confess
teeth,
that
but-
I've looked for ways to get around the open meeting law before.
I think the reasoning is probably because any deliberation needs to also be done in a group like this before they can actually do anything.
Well, does anybody have citations? I'm sorry. I'm sort of interested in the legal underpinnings of
Yeah.
this just because of my habit. That's my
Yeah.
habit.
And what I can do also is make sure that as this group presents to other groups and has these generative conversations, I can share it with this commission so that folks are aware when those conversations are happening, and
Yeah, it's
they
great
can
to have
chime
you.
in.
It's great to have you here. It is, because there is that link. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
I want to
thanks,
make,
Nancy.
I know this is awkward, but, and it's not, please don't read anything into this, but on the task force website, you are always listed as, being on the historical commission. And I think that it needs to be clarified that you don't represent the commission.
That's a good
Not that we
point.
don't
That's a good
support,
point.
not that we don't
No.
support what you're doing or your views either. But sometimes we do appoint a member to represent our commission in other bodies, and so you can list it as a qualification, but not as a representative.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Beth Van Duser's got her hand up, if that's all right. Hi, Beth.
Okay. So just going back to the very beginning of when you were talking, Mimi Graney and Jen Turner did go to a cemetery committee meeting via Zoom.
Thank you.
So the link is not on your website, but people can Google it and figure it out. But they did come to a meeting once a couple months ago, just so everyone knows if they want to know.
We can Google what, figure it out.
You can find a cemetery committee meeting, can't you?
Well, how would I know to go to the cemetery committee?
Because they presented it. So they have an Excel spreadsheet on their website that says what committee meetings they went to. And for some of them they have links. Wait, now you talk. Go. What?
So what are you trying to find? I'm wondering about the Black Heritage Trail meetings, and you're talking about cemetery committee meetings.
Yes, because they came, so I'm on the cemetery committee, and they came to one of our meetings via Zoom, because our meetings are hybrid, and they presented to us months ago. So the Black Heritage Trail Advisory Board has an Excel spreadsheet that lists where they have talked to which committees, and for some of them they have links if they were recorded. There's no link to the recording of ours, but it was recorded. So if you really want to see what was said, you can go and find the link.
Oh, I want to know what the next meetings are.
Oh, well, you know what? You can do that too, but I don't have that.
Yeah.
I think Nancy
that wasn't my comment. My comments in the past.
I think Nancy Nelson is saying it's hard to keep up with everybody's agenda. So
it is.
There's so many issues being
very hard. It's very hard. There's a lot happening in this town, and I actually said something the other day at a meeting that I wish Concord was more involved on a more national level. That is a whole nother basket of worms.
Yeah, but Beth, thank you for that. I've lost they've been to so many meetings in the past 3 months, and I think for folks who are saying that it's a commission or task force that's working really quickly, I would say that they are doing a lot of due diligence with a lot of different entities in a really quick amount of time. It's exhausting for me to think about, but I have to give this task force a lot of credit for getting as much feedback from a lot of different voices as possible in a short amount of time. So
Well, I'm glad we heard tonight about it.
yeah, and thank you. And if folks have questions and they want to chat offline one-on-one so we don't violate any open meeting laws, I'm happy to do that, of course. And I will continue to share information about future meetings with folks so that they can attend and engage as they can.
Great. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, next on the agenda, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I have to hop off
Commission.
to get my kid to bed. Sorry.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
late. Thank you all. I'll see you soon.
Oh, this is a big one.
A big one, yeah. We need a representative to Community Preservation Committee
And because
we're gonna miss you, Nancy.
thank you. This is my last meeting.
This is and you are a huge loss. I mean, we're gonna losing you and Melissa.
Yeah, both of us.
The institutional knowledge between the two of you is just, but
The only thing I want to say about that is that anybody that wants to talk to me about anything in the town, I'm happy for Anne to give you my email address. I know she's very careful about that, but there's a lot of institutional knowledge in this town that I've accessed over the
well, if you're not on the commission anymore, then people can talk to you.
Well, that's true. So anyway, it'd be fun to stay connected with the Historical Commission and CPC, which actually is hugely important. And I've been the representative there, and yeah, it's a big job for a limited period of time, but in certain wallops, but yeah. Anyway, carry on.
Well, I just want to say we should be raising a glass to you because of toasting to you. And I wish Melissa were here too, because yeah, you guys have been the backbone of since I've been here for 3 years, and I know you've been on the commission longer, and both of you have served in so many other ways in the town and will continue to do. So it's not just this commission, but it's so many others, and in so many, and Nancy, what you did with the national park, I mean, how,
It's really hard to break the habit of public service, I must say. So
you don't need to, and I'm sure we'll be soon.
I am going to haunt this committee.
Yay.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'll be
He's
calling
the
you.
reason I'm here.
Yeah. That leaves you as the long historical voice, I guess.
Me or Nancy?
No, you with your experience.
I think given your experience in Belmont and in the National Park Service and blah 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 blah, yeah, I think this is a tremendous committee. So
You're going to fill a big
great.
hole.
I do the new people better. I really don't. I know Sarah's last name. And I'm not sure how you fit in the Kusin family, but I do know your last name. But Callie, I don't know you at all. Be fun to get together in person. And
Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could do that this summer. I would like.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I think we could even have a little coffee morning or something, in someone's backyard. Another commission I know does that, as long as we don't talk about anything. I think that's fine.
And hi, Alan. Here's an old historical commission.
Yeah, Alan's, is he still on?
Alan's still on. Alan's a lurker.
He may be just pretending. There he is.
I'm here. I'm just raising my hand, and I just want to say you are going to be missed. The knowledge that you have, the tutorials that you've given me, I really appreciate everything. You're terrific. And I just want to say thank you for everything that I've learned.
Questions, the insight, the passion that you've got for preservation. Yeah, it's
Thanks.
Irreplaceable.
Right. So thank you very much, Nancy.
Yep.
Thank
You're
you all.
here.
Thank you all. It's been a hoot.
But the meeting isn't over yet, so we need a representative.
I know,
for the
I
Community
know, but
Preservation
now
Committee.
back down to business.
We need a volunteer.
Well, I've already expressed interest in an email to Anne and Doug, but I am also, interested in who else is interested. I kind of want to get a little bit away from markers and monuments. Have a little change of, something else to think about.
You can do soccer fields and
Yeah.
I am,
way outside of my-
full supportive of you taking that role, Nancy. I mean, I would potentially be interested in doing it myself, but if you're going to do it, I got plenty going on my plate. So, if you're willing to do it, then
I guess I'd like to talk to Nancy and get a better idea of the time commitment involved, to make sure that I can commit to it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I haven't tossed all that stuff yet.
Okay.
I'll be in touch.
Doug,
yeah.
I did think about it when the request came around, and the reason why I didn't speak up is that I went to the natural resources. I presented at natural resources while you were gone, and which was a great meeting. But they were terrific.
Fantastic.
Oh, it was so great, and it was so nice to be with that gang. And they do have the update to the open space plan coming up, and mentioned it'd be nice to have a historical commission member on that committee. And so I'm interested, now that the preservation plan is wrapping up, maybe doing one other thing. And I think in the big scheme of things, maybe that would be the best use of my time, would be working with natural resources on the open space plan. But that will be coming up in the fall.
Okay.
So that's
yeah,
a sort of a bookmark
sounds
there.
fantastic.
If the commission would be interested in having me there, or if natural resources still wants to have a historical commission member. But
Okay.
Can I say something about a related matter? Because in preparing for tomorrow morning's meeting of the reviewers, and if everyone read Sandy Smith's letter, he recommends that someone from the Historical Commission be on, or HDC, I guess, on the Haywood Meadows Stewardship Committee. Which my husband happens to chair, and they are looking for a new member. So I showed him that letter, and we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But I thought I should mention that to other people on this online tonight, because that's another possibility. It could come up.
Yeah.
That's a really fun committee.
That is a fun committee.
Yeah.
Okay. So well, I'm hearing Nancy Frisell Lee. It's yours for if you agree to it, then
Okay. Great.
That's beautiful.
So,
Administrative code, Anne, do you want to talk
sorry.
about?
Oh, yes, and I'm also getting questions, from the town clerk and the CPC about the appointment. So I thought that it would be for certain tonight, about who's going to be on the CPC. That's it. So
okay. I can commit to that. I mean,
could you? Oh, that would be great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Sorry. Not to
I'll
put
still
pressure
talk to
on you.
Nancy about it so that
Okay.
I know what I'm facing. Yeah.
Okay, good.
CPC is an amazing committee.
Yeah. I think it'll expand my horizons.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes,
Good.
it's so important.
So, do you mind all taking a vote on that? It's an official
Okay,
position.
the
It should be
vote
a
on the
full voting
floor,
member.
can I make a motion? Am I able to make a motion? I make a motion that
Sure.
Nancy Frisell Lee be our CPC representative.
I'll
Wait a
second
second.
it.
Oh, you beat me.
All in favor? So aye, Nancy,
I
Lauren, Sarah. We're doing associates too, Callie.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Unanimous consent. Okay, administrative code.
Right.
I don't have.
So what's that?
No.
So, right, I've been,
I
Housekeeping.
said that doesn't really affect me anymore.
right.
I'm just teasing you, Ann. Sorry.
No, I know. So the town clerk has been getting in touch with me too about, all of the appointments, and we realized that, or she reminded me that I was looking at Mass General Law, which talks about 3-year terms for each of the associate members as well as the full members, and that they be staggered 3-year terms. But the clerk said, well, your administrative code talks about 1-year terms for alternate members. So we would just need to, they suggested that we amend the administrative code to align with Mass General Law. So it
And
would
those
just be,
would roll over, so the associate members would just roll over every year. Is there a limit to the number of times they
I'm
would
sorry, say
serve?
that again?
Well, I know that there's like 2 3-year terms, right? Is the limit for regular commission members? But for an
Yes.
associate,
It's the same,
so it'll be 6 years.
right?
Do we
But
have to say
typically-
somewhere that, I mean, I don't know. I really don't know if anybody would be an associate for 6 years, but is that defined? Does that need to be defined someplace?
No, that's really in the APP 10, the Town of Concord
Okay.
administrative policies.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So this one is unique to this commission, but then there are sort of town-wide standard or
Okay.
guidelines.
You know,
All right.
Anne, you may know this. I was looking at a list of members of a committee, and I'm only on CPC and Historical Commission. And was it CPC that everybody's term expired at the same time?
Right. CPC is
okay.
unusual.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's not everyone. The select board appointees
Same.
have 3-year terms, but everyone else is it comes from a different committee, and so
Yeah.
and
So
so
it wasn't
the other
the-
committees, right? They could
It
be
wasn't
moving
the
off or moving off.
historical.
So right.
But it seemed everybody was going off at the same time, no matter how long their terms were. But anyway,
They can get reappointed by the committee
Yeah.
that appoints them.
okay. Yeah, it gets confusing, but not for the Historical Commission. It's not like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. That's it.
Okay.
So what are we talking about? We need to change our,
Right. Just this
Okay.
one little piece right here. Alternate members may appointed in like manner not exceeding in the principal members and this should be 3-year terms.
okay. Alternate members may be appointed in like manner, yeah, for 3-year terms. Got it.
So that's all. Would you like to vote on that?
Sure.
Yeah, so we have a motion to accept the changes to the administrative code
Second.
proposed here. Okay, we have a second by Nancy Nelson. All in favor? Myself, yes. Nancy Frisella, yes. Nancy Nelson, yes. Laura Meyer, yes. Callie, yes. Okay, good. And Sarah had a drop. Are you there, Sarah? Yeah, yeah, there you are. Okay. You weren't on my screen because the presentation.
Sorry.
Okay. Update to CPC funding for historical commission projects.
Fired.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I guess the update was really just that the commission was awarded funding for the MCI Concord thematic study. So that's the big update.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so now we've got
Can I just say one thing?
Who's that?
It's Lauren. Sorry, I
Oh.
just was stepping away because I was about to print something. We probably need to do a scope of work and an RFP for that
Oh, good point.
Mhm.
I'll start
And-
drafting that soon. The money doesn't
Yeah.
become available till July 1st, but yes,
Yeah.
I could start drafting that now and
Okay.
would really appreciate help.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I think that's going to be important given the accelerated pace of the planning that's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fantastic, for those who were there. I know, Lauren, I know you were there.
Yeah,
That was fantastic. I guess it's out of the scope of tonight, but the presentation last week I thought was outstanding.
For MCI, right? You're talking.
MCI,
Yeah. Boy, oh boy.
I have a lot to say about that,
okay.
Mhm.
but it's not. But I will hold it for another time.
Maybe we can talk about it at our work session tomorrow.
Yeah. Good
We
idea.
better get to bed.
When we're officially
Yeah,
together. Yeah, the time is late. The last thing on our agenda is a lot of meeting minutes for approval.
I looked at all of them, believe it or not.
So did I. They misspelled your
Wow.
name on the last one, and we had that fixed.
And I did see a very minor typo on 829. But I also thought it was really interesting when you read all of these, you do see kind of the process that we went through to try to come to terms with how to take all that sort of bureaucratic text that we got from the consultant and make it into something
Oh,
meaningful.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of liked that we had all those work session minutes all together, even though they weren't super detailed.
Yeah.
It did really talk about the topics and the big issues that we were grappling with.
I think you guys that
Fine.
hung in there on that planning effort, boy, oh boy, that was a hard one. I haven't ever seen anything that painful before.
Yeah.
So congratulations. That was a lot of time and effort and angst.
Got it done.
Yeah. Cheers.
Well, Anne was the hero, in my book.
Yeah,
Anne
and
was the
Melissa's
hero.
not here tonight, but I know she
And
also.
Melissa and Alan in the
Yeah.
earlier times.
And
Right.
Oh,
Alan and Melissa, who really hung in there.
Took the brunt of it at the hardest parts of it.
Right.
very good, Alan. That's awesome. Yeah, I just closed my eyes, said I can't do another one.
Yeah.
And of course, Lauren, did so much of that. And thank goodness for Lauren. We
Good.
couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah.
We really
Well.
don't think we could have.
Yeah, I can't. I'm like Nancy. I can't help myself.
And so just little things like we had a lot of money budgeted for design and laying it out and making it all pretty. Lauren just did it.
She
She
just-
did.
Bad designer
Everything
took a
you see
title.
there, she did. So
Well, it probably wasn't as fancy as it was. Just it's a tech. I mean, in my mind, it's a technical document. It doesn't
Right.
have to be.
it's plenty. It's
Yeah.
really nicely presented, and it would add no value for anybody to do more than what you did. It was super, super professional. But anyway,
Well, good.
all
Awesome.
that said, we need a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
I
I move that we approve. Oh, are we going to get? Do you want to? You had some typos. Did you want to address those, Lauren?
Well, on 829, page 2, paragraph 2,
sent in a copy.
it should say plays, not plans. That's the only thing I
And I
found.
already told Kim that on the 4-9, the first mention of Lauren Meyer, they misspelled Meyer.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Good catch.
Wow.
Thank you.
So
Great.
little details. Okay, so we have a motion to accept the meeting minutes, subject to the corrections from Lauren. Do we have a second?
I
Nancy
think.
Nelson,
Go ahead,
second.
Nancy. You make them at last second.
Yeah, my last
All
form.
in
Oh, there you
favor?
go.
Sarah Cusin, since you're on the top of my screen now. Okay, I'm good. Nancy Fasoli.
Now I'm a free agent. Look out.
Already seconded, so you're good. Lauren, you're good.
Yep.
And Kelly is good. Excellent. Passed unanimously.
Great.
Motion to adjourn.
Good
For the
night.
next
everyone.
11
I
hours.
think, can't you just declare it's over? I think you
I
can.
guess I can. I guess I can. It's
I
just not
think
what we
you-
normally
I think you
do.
can, but
Okay.
go ahead and see how it works.
I declare the Concord, the Concord Masonic Corporation, the Concord Historical Commission meeting over.